Today, I am joined by the amazing, extraordinary Christine Lang.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What was it that caused your life to shift from less than miraculous to really living in this place of flow and grace?
I get to every day be a part of people's aha moments where they come in for a session saying, well, you say the universe is perfect and my spirit is on my side, but then why did this happen? And then when they hear from their spirit the why, and they go, oh, wow, that really did benefit me.
What is this spirit that I'm talking to when you
Hmm.
say your spirit?
I refer to your spirit as being 80% your soul and 20% your ego mind. That little infusion of 20% ego mind gives you preferences, gives you goals, gives you desires. And then the trick is getting that in alignment with your soul's purpose.
I'm just itching for something that we might be able to do, even just very short, that people here could go do at home. Could you share something with us?
Yeah, I'll walk you through the steps. So put on some sort of meditative music or something quiet. Picture an area of your body you want to ask a question about, and then
You are not meant to struggle. You are meant to live in the miracle zone. I'm Marci Shimoff. I'm a #1 New York Times bestselling author, and I'm a founder of Your Year of Miracles. And after decades of exploring the true source of happiness and success, I have found one thing. When you align with the energy of miracles, life flows with joy and grace. Welcome to Living in the Miracle Zone. And today I am joined by the amazing, extraordinary, and really very cosmic Christine Lang. Christine is a spirit channel. She is a medical intuitive and she is an author. And I'll tell you a little bit more about her. But first, I want to welcome her here. Hi, Christine.
hi, thanks for having me.
I always love any opportunity to get to be with you, Christine. So this is a joy for me, and I'll tell people more about how much I love you and your work after I give you a formal introduction. So,
Okay.
Christine actually, her first career was as an attorney, and when she worked as an attorney, she said she was just stressed out. She had constant allergies. And in her search for a cure, she actually discovered that she has these abilities to see people's energies and have conversations with their spirit. And now she works as a translator for the spirit world. She helps people understand how their body and their life got to where it is today. And she has an enormous demand, so much so, more demand for private sessions that she couldn't handle with her calendar. She decided to write her new book, which is called Ask Your Spirit: Receiving Life-Changing Wisdom from Your Elevated Intelligence. And what I know about this book is that it's really a roadmap to creating your direct connection with your spirit and to finding the answers that you need regarding your own health and relationships and career. And my experience with Christine is very personal because 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was having some physical challenges. And a dear friend of mine, who is also a friend of Christine, said, "You have got to talk to Christine Lang." So I called Christine and we started working together. And I will tell you that my health is so much better now than when we started working together. It's kind of night and day. And I love how you do your work. I love the integrity with which you do your work. And I'm thrilled for your new book, which is about showing us how we all can connect in with our spirit so that we can get the answers directly ourselves. And so thank you. Thank you personally for what you've done for me,
Oh,
Christy.
thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I always say I wrote this book with the goal of putting myself out of business, that nobody needs me anymore because I can't meet the demand. So this is my way of, instead of fishing for people, teaching the man to fish, right? And that's my hope for this book, is that it's the equivalent of giving you your spirit cell phone number, and then you can start having conversations with your spirit and get that same information that I get in a session.
Yeah, and who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to be able to have answers to their own questions about everything, anything in life? So I want to first start by understanding from you, this is called living in the miracle zone.
Mhm.
And I want to know, what was it that caused your life to shift from less than miraculous to really living in this place of flow and grace, what I call the miracle zone?
Yeah, I absolutely live in the miracle zone because I get to every day be a part of people's aha moments where they come in for a session saying, "Well, you say the universe is perfect and my spirit is on my side, but then why did this happen? And why did I have this car accident? Or why did, you know?" And then when they hear from their spirit the why, and they go, "Oh, wow, that really did benefit me. Okay, I get it." Right. And it doesn't mean all your struggles go away. It means you understand the why and how to move through it and how it really is trying to hold you on the brink of a miracle all the time, right? And your spirit is partnering with you to collaborate for a bigger, more expanded version of your life, which is what you're teaching people too, right? Step in that miracle zone where you allow yourself to be expanded by every miracle that comes your way. And your spirit wants to collaborate with you, not test you, not punish you, none of that. It's always helping you see, well, here's a limiting belief. That's why you keep repeating that pattern in relationship. Or here's where you store stress in your body. And that's why your low back keeps going out. When your spirit is sending you these messages in the form of physical symptoms or repeated relationship patterns, it's to help you break through, not to punish you in any way.
So, what was your own journey with this? I mean, how did this what shifted in your own life?
So I, went to law school in a top 10 law school and was your typical stressed out lawyer and developed allergies in law school. And so when I got out of law school, it was before the days of Zyrtec and things they have now, the allergy meds that don't make you drowsy. So I couldn't take, you know, antihistamines and drink Diet Coke all day for the rest of my life. So I just said, I've got to fix these allergies. And I went on this quest to just cure my allergies as holistically as possible and studied, Reiki and Buddhism and started meditating and doing all these different things. And when I would offer a friend an energy treatment, I'd say, well, let me come home first and take off my lawyer suit and sit and meditate to just change channels in my brain from aggressive lawyer to peaceful healer. And I would just know things. When I would meditate, I would just get the sense of why the person really had a headache or a backache or tooth pain. And I finally got up the nerve to mention it to a friend. And as I was putting energy in her back and her eyes flew open and she said, "How do you know that? No one knows that. It just happened last night." And I realized, okay, I'm getting information that I have no logical way of knowing. And I went and sat back in my meditation chair when she left my house and I said, "Who am I talking to? Who am I getting this information from?" And my spirit said, "Welcome home." And tears were streaming down my face. And she said, "This is who you came here to be. Get ready." And she just started talking to me for 3 or 4 hours a day. I would sit in meditation and she would make the connections. This is where people store this kind of stress in their body. This is where they store this kind of stress in their body. And these are the symptoms that result as their spirit's trying to tell them about that. And so she just started making this roadmap for me of how people get into the predicaments they're in. And that stepped me into a miracle zone that I've really never left. It's almost 30 years.
How did it change your own personal life? I mean, obviously it changed the work that you do, but I mean,
Right.
how did it change how you experience everyday life?
Because now I know that nothing happens to me, everything happens for me. And that is a 180 from how most of us are raised, right? Most of us
Mhm.
are either, if we're raised in a religious household of some sort, think that either God can be punishing or just at best maybe is neutral and doesn't really care and isn't paying attention. But I don't know very many formalized religious trainings that say, "Oh yeah, God's always looking out for you, has your best interest at heart. The universe is always conspiring on your behalf." So to go from this sphere of randomness in the universe of what's going to happen next, where everything feels arbitrary and at risk, to shift from that to, oh, everything is being taken care of for me, led me to say things like, "Thank you, universe. I'm sure this is perfect." Even when it doesn't look perfect in that moment, because I've had so many instances where I accuse my spirit of, "You're not looking out for me," or "The universe really doesn't have my back." And then within a few weeks, I'm eating my words. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that was for my benefit. Okay, I get it."
Right,
So
right,
it's
right.
happened to me enough times. I'm like, I'm just going to keep my mouth closed and assume the best. And that sense of safety and gives
Mm.
you this calmness in the center of you that my family and friends started commenting on of like, "We're used to the stressed out lawyer. Where did she go?" But there's just that calm certainty that everything's okay. And that's such a game changer.
So, your new book, Ask Your Spirit. First of all, congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
know what it's like to write a book, and I just kudos to you for that. And in this book, I know you talk about how everybody, anybody can have a conversation with their own spirit.
Yeah.
So, what kinds of guidance can people get from spirit, and really how is it that all of us can do that?
So your spirit is trying to talk to you, and sometimes we have what we think are coincidences or a brilliant idea in the shower while we're driving, right? We have these little intuitive flashes that we get, and then we tend to write them off later, like, oh, maybe I made that up, or that was just a coincidence. So we all have, if we really sit and think about it, these instances where we did get messages from our spirit. This is just turning that dial up from 2 to 200 and creating with intention the opening. Right, so it's like if you found out your neighbor speaks French and you're like, "Oh, he really is talking. I just didn't understand what he was saying," and you go study French, and you go over and have a conversation, and you're like, "Oh, there's all this wisdom here," right? You're nobody has your back like your spirit, it's the best health coach, relationship coach, finance coach, and so once you have that connection, you can ask questions about everything, and there's very little that I find a person's spirit won't talk to them about other than it won't tell you all of the future because it doesn't wanna kinda ruin the surprise for you, but almost everything from your past and in your current life, your spirit will give you guidance on.
Well, also, it might not tell you all about the future because there are probabilities of future, but it's not all set in stone. There's
Exactly,
the free
exactly,
will
that
aspect.
there's free will for everybody, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, really, people can do this. And you're showing us in the book how we can do this. Is that right? I mean, you're just,
Yeah. The first third of the book is step by step, me giving your spirit cell phone number. Here's how you move your energy, here's where you move it to, here's how you make the connection with your spirit. And then here's how you can listen for the answer and here's how you can double check if you're making it up or if it really is coming from your spirit because that discernment is key,
that's,
right?
I find so often, I know with myself, I get a sense, I think, oh yeah, this or oh yeah, that, but then
Mhm.
it's just, how do I really know? And
Right.
it's that ability to trust it. That to me is key because then I'm
Yeah.
willing to act on it if I can trust it.
Exactly, exactly, and you build up your trust in yourself and in that voice because you start to recognize it. So now if I'm channeling for somebody and I'm saying, "Oh, your spirit just said this," it's, "Hold on, I got one word wrong," because I can feel the drop in vibration from what's coming into me from your spirit versus my own ego mind. It's a lower vibration. So it's teaching people how to feel that differential so they know when it's safe to trust yourself, when it's, ways to double check your answers, that sort of thing. And then the second two-thirds of the book I call your relationship manual. Now that you have this relationship with your spirit, how do you get the most out of it? And each chapter is about different topics that my clients are most often going to ask me about. So, questions about your romantic relationship, questions about your siblings, your family of origin, your pets, all the different things that people come to me and ask about, career, money, what I found is that talking to your spirit is kind of like working with AI, that the better your prompts or your questions, the better your answers. So I try to give people context in each chapter. Here are the issues you see in this, like say the critical friend or the critical parent. Here are the issues, here's how they get there. Here's a way to frame your questions. And then there'll be like 5 to 10 sample questions. And then there's a client story to demonstrate how the universe speaks on that topic. And so then that second two-thirds of the book gives you all that insight that you can then go ask really informed questions of the spirit world.
So I know that there are remarkable stories of things that have happened from you working with people and you hearing their spirit. Can you share with us a remarkable story of somebody who's learned to do it for themselves and what's
Oh,
happened as a result of it? I'd
sure.
love to hear a story.
Yeah, I had a follow-up meeting with a client who learned to talk to her spirit from me last year. And she said that, I'd ordered this thyroid med and I was really frustrated because every little dumb thing went wrong. Like first the pharmacy lost it, then the doctor's office wouldn't call it. It's like every dumb little headache that could possibly it was just hurdle after hurdle. And it was seemed like such a simple thing. And she said, and then I sat and I listened and I asked my spirit, like, what's up with this? Right. And her spirit said, you have such mixed feelings about taking this thyroid med because you wanted to heal all natural and you feel like you're quote failing if you take this. So you're not going to get good results because you're going to block it. So I needed to get your attention so you'd come ask me about it. So they sat and they talked about her ideas about how she what she should be doing and what a good, holistic person does. And she worked through those fears. And the next day she woke up and the prescription arrived by mail in her mailbox that day.
Wow. I love that.
And
That
she took
is
it and it worked immediately. It was like perfect results. And she was like, okay, I get it. Right here. I was grumbling and complaining for 2.5 weeks that this prescription was such a headache. And in less than 24 hours, had it in her hands, took it and it was fine.
Mm.
And she saw the beauty of it. She saw how her spirit was helping her get the best results and clear an old limiting belief about herself that she was had to be this purist and do everything a certain way.
This whole conversation to me, of course, I'm sure one of the things that you address that I keep going, well, what is this spirit that I'm talking to? When you
Mhm.
say your spirit, what
Yeah.
is that? Is it your higher self? Is it your guardian angel? What is it?
So I that's a good question. I refer to your spirit as being 80% your soul and 20% your ego mind. And the reason is because your soul really wants for nothing, thinks everything is perfect. It can be a little
Mm.
frustrating to speak to your soul and she goes, "All is well." And you're like, "No, it's not. I want the job promotion. I want to buy that house." And so that little infusion of 20% ego mind gives you preferences, gives you goals, gives you desires. And then the trick is getting that in alignment with your soul's purpose of being here and all the goals your soul has. And so speaking with your spirit is another word for higher self,
Mhm.
but it's very specific to that blend of your soul and your higher part of your desires and your focus. And so your spirit has been with you from day one and knows all of your goals, but also knows when you're in alignment with your soul's purpose.
Thank you. That helps. That feels really accurate to me. And you specialize in specifically around the health
Mhm.
side of things, which of course has everything to do with beliefs and all kinds of other things in our life.
Yeah.
But how does this relate to people who come with a desire for some kind of a material or financial or business kind of an outcome?
Well, first, I want to say your business success is not separate from your spiritual life. People, I think, in our culture really separate those two things. And if you're a really good spiritual person, you shouldn't care about money. And yet, your success is and your career is a mirror of a lot of things, including how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the universe, what you think abundance is really about, your own self worth. So, your spirit loves to partner with you to just let you tap into the abundance of the universe. And the more that abundance is coming at you like a fire hose, the happier your spirit is. So, there is no test or hurdles you have to get over or things you have to prove. It really is about how do I move the obstacles out of the way? My limiting beliefs, my fear of failure, all of those sorts of things. And your spirit is such a great coach for that. And I would say people usually start off seeing me because of a physical symptom and they stay a client for years because they realize their spirit is such a great coach on relationships and on career. So I have a lot of executives in some very large companies in the US who will say, "Okay, we just hired this person. We don't understand why he can't get past this certain sales point." And her spirit will come in and go, "Oh, it's because he has a fear of outshining this person because of this comment." And then she can go clean it up. And your spirit can just be so straight to the point about what's really going on at the core of an issue, not what it appears like on the surface.
So really, really great. And I know that you are all about practical. I mean, you show people, this is the part I love the lawyer part because the lawyer
Yeah.
part,
I'm very pragmatic.
you want proof. You want,
Yeah.
I love that. Let's get
Yeah.
this practical. Let's make sure this works.
Yeah.
So I know we'd spoken earlier that to do a little process might take a little time, but I'm just itching for something
I'm
that we
happy to do
might
it.
be able to do, even just very short, that people here could go do at home, do
Okay.
tomorrow, do the next day. Could you share something with
Yeah,
us?
I'll walk you through the steps and then people can do it on their own because I don't want them to
Perfect.
rush. Okay. So put on some sort of meditative music or something quiet and pick a place in your body that you want to ask a question about. So, for example, I'm just going to say your shoulder, right? But you pick the place. And if it's something like your immune system, you want to just bring that into like the core of your body, just picture in the center of you. But picture an area of your body you want to ask a question about and then get really quiet of just following your breath for 3 or 4 minutes. And you're just holding the intention to let everything else drop away because you want to be in sacred conversation with your body as if your body is a toddler and you're saying, "I'm making the time to sit and listen to you. Even if it takes you 5 minutes to choke out what you're trying to say, I'm going to make this space for you." So you sit quietly, following the breath until you feel settled and really present. And then picture gathering all of your energy that you can pull into the center of your heart chakra and pack it down like damp sand or a snowball into a ball and move that ball of energy and your ball of awareness into that part of your body. And when it's settled there, take a breath, give it a moment, and say, "What would you like me to know?" And people are amazed. They're like, "Oh my god, my body told me something," right? It's right there waiting to have that conversation with you and give you that piece of feedback, and it might be one word or one phrase or one visual, and even if it doesn't make sense in the moment, say thank you and just let it digest. Frequently, people say, "Oh my gosh, I was driving down the road an hour later." I'm like, "Oh, I know what that means," right? And so
Mhm.
we have to be willing to just receive it, receive the message, and let it make sense as we digest it.
Mm. Great. So that's something that I'm sure you spell out in Ask Your Spirit, and but we
Yeah.
can just do that on our own. You would say that would take 5-10 minutes to do.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that right?
less than 10 minutes. There's also, if you want a longer version, there's a free guided meditation on my website if you sign up for the email list. That's like a 15-minute guided meditation walking you through asking what specific messages might be there for you in your body. And you can do that as well.
Mhm. Well, Christine, I know when you started working on this book, it was, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, probably at the time when you started even thinking about all that you're doing years ago. And we find ourselves now in these, I think, extremely challenging times. So
Hmm.
much upheaval, so much going on all over the world. And it tends to trigger everything in us that isn't,
Yeah.
I think, everything that's not healed. If there's any places of
Yeah.
lack of total peace. So, how can our spirit help us during this time?
I think that the triggers that I see in my clients during this time that center around two ideas. One is it's not fair, and the other
Mm,
is I'm not safe. And so both of those triggers, you can find evidence of that everywhere. You have 5 seconds looking at the news, you can find evidence of that. But what we tend to do is make it personal to us. "Oh, here's how this threatens me," when it actually doesn't. So we personalize world events, not that we should stick our head in the sand and say, "Well, it's not happening in my backyard, so it doesn't matter," but to separate out how much am I in danger or is it unfair to me? Because when we can stay neutral and feel safe and calm, then we can be of more service to the good that we want to see caused. When we're triggered and caught up in self protection, defensiveness, deflection, we're actually not of service. We're not able to be of service because we're still trying to feel safe and feel okay.
yes, that's all great. And then what about those of us, which I know you are and I am, the empaths of the world? That
Hmm.
have a really hard time not just deeply feeling what people are experiencing halfway across the world.
Yeah. So, what I ask my spirit is, how can I serve?
Mhm.
And then I take that answer really seriously because I know the ways I wanna serve because I wanna be up in arms and outrageous and I wanna post all over social media, and yet that's a lot of times just sticking a stick in the hornet's nest. I don't know that it really does anything but keeps me in a state of upset, and my spirit will say, "That's nice, but it's not gonna move the needle. Here's something you can do." And it might be meditating, doing a Tonglen meditation and sending loving energy to people in the Middle East who are negotiating right now, right? That
Mhm.
may do more than me posting my point of view on social media or writing a letter to my congressman who I already know thinks the way I do, right? And so that idea of how can I best serve and some of my clients say, "Wow, I asked my spirit how I can best serve." And they're like, "Go down to the animal shelter and volunteer." You're like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. And she's like, "Yes, but it's being of service and creating more and more, like Thich Nhat Hanh says, more and more positive energy in the world. You want to be the force for good. And it doesn't have to specifically relate to that. The more people putting this positive, miraculous energy out there that say, I believe the miracles are possible, it just makes it more likely."
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more about that. It's really about us changing our energetic vibration.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing that I think we can contribute to anybody around us or to the whole world situation is our own energetic vibration. Not to say that we don't also take action where we are
Right.
guided to take action. And
Exactly.
that's where it's spirit can really clearly guide you in that. So where is it hardest for people to listen to or trust spirit? Where have you seen they're most challenged and how they can break through that?
I think it's sometimes hardest to listen in about our children because we
Mhm.
have a lot of vested interest in, but I want to have not been the parent that messed them up. And so we tend to only make space to hear certain answers about our kids that, it's the teacher's fault or it's the school's fault but we're not really open to hearing ways that we could do things differently because we're afraid it will
Mhm.
make us wrong. And so I think sometimes it's hard and that's why I say, in my classes where I'm teaching this, I say get a study buddy. And so when there's something that you know it's too emotionally charged for you and you can't be objective as you listen in, have your friend talk to her spirit or your spirit about it, and you can do something for her, right? If we're listening in about our pets, we tend to, oh, I'm so afraid I'm going to hear that, she has heartworm or she has this, and we don't want to hear it, that we can't really open up and we can feel that we're not connected, right? And so those things that we really are emotionally invested in, they're hard to listen in and hear your spirit's objective answer.
And along with that, I would imagine you find that what I see with people a lot is we have been so habituated around judgment, self judgment, especially
Hmm.
being
Yes.
critical, being so hard on ourselves. So,
Yeah.
how can people more trust the messages about being self loving?
That's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. And I would say you always have the good questions. I would say that how we do that is one of the questions I ask my spirit at least once a month is what's a way that I've changed I'm not giving myself credit for? Or what's an update I need to know about myself? And my spirit will help me see little shifts that I've made or things that I now understand. Or I'll say, what am I now ready to understand about myself? And so these things that basically are saying, I acknowledge my limited perspective. I want to make it larger. And one of the chapters in the book talks about the labels we get in childhood, intentionally and unintentionally, and how we outgrow them, but still live into them without realizing it. And then there's all these questions you can ask your spirit of like, okay, how am I still living like the 7-year-old that used to get made fun of at the dinner table? Right? How do I still do that? And people who, have worked with me have said, "Oh my God, I can't believe the crazy answers I get about this." And they're so true. I didn't even realize I was doing that at work, where I was making my boss the bad guy and the authority figure, or I was doing this. And we can trace those back to how we see ourselves because of how our family dynamic shaped how we saw ourselves. So all of that stuff getting a continuous upgrade, right? I feel like your program is such an upgrade for people, right? It's up leveling yourself. And that's what I feel like your spirit wants to do with you every day, every week, every month is have conversations that allow you to break through those self-limiting beliefs that are self-imposed and up level ourselves.
And that's one of the things that I so appreciate about spirit is that I think spirit is the connection to the field of all possibilities.
Yes.
So we're
Yes.
not just limited to thinking that my life has to be this way around my health or around my relationships or around my business or around money or
Uh-huh.
whatever. Rather than being stuck in those old patterns, it's the spirit is has the whole vision of all possibilities.
Yes. And one of the things I talk about in the book is that sometimes when your spirit won't answer your question, it's because you've made her choose between option A and option B. Should I buy this house or this house? And she's actually got option C out there that's an even better house, but you just haven't seen it yet because you're supposed to see that in 2 days. So she drifts back and won't answer your question or says, not yet. And people go, what do you mean not yet? I have to put an offer in on one of these two houses, right? And I'm like, just trust, just trust. If your spirit is saying not yet, it's not yet. And that is such a kind of a fun process to get to know how your spirit communicates with you. And people learn, oh, I can tell when my spirit's giving me the pause. It's a certain visual that I get or a certain way that I feel it in my body. And we develop this shorthand with our spirit about how we get these little cues. And it's great.
I feel like this is the ultimate kind of answer to everything. We used to want to have the little genie.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to ask and or the little oracle. I want to be able to ask and get the answer, the crystal ball.
Yeah.
This is our own true connection to spirit and to get the answer, but it's not just about getting the answer. It's
Yeah.
about how we experience life in the process of being more connected to spirit. So it's not just about the outcome of the answers. I mean, I'd love to hear
Yeah,
your
no,
take on
well
that.
said, well said. And one of the things that I notice in students who start connecting with their spirit and having conversations is they start to sort of build this paradigm of, oh, I understand that I incarnated here to work through these three patterns, and that's why they keep showing up. And I bet this triggered me because it fits in with this pattern my spirit's trying to help me unravel over here. And I bet this thing bothers me at work, and that one lady annoys me so much because it's feeding into that other pattern I'm trying to unravel. And so your spirit builds this sort of framework for you to understand all of the things, the people that you have karmic contracts with, and the people that, your favorite high school teacher and why that person pivoted you and the major you were going to choose in college and all these things that we start going, oh, it's like building the frame around the puzzle. And then you start putting those pieces in. And to me, that's such a delightful partnership to have with our spirit that it, like you said, it's beyond the answer to that one question. It's how does that one question or that one dilemma fit in with this whole pattern that I keep seeing in my life?
Mhm. And and how does that connection that I have to spirit help me just feel more connected in life?
Yeah, and less
Yeah.
alone. Like
Yeah.
you're never alone again because it's you and your spirit collaborating on how all these things manifest. And one of the exercises, now we're going to throw in a second exercise here, but one of the exercises I love to do with people is get really quiet and close your eyes and imagine walking through a field and you see a tree off in the distance and you go and you sit and you lean your back against the tree and you picture a sidewalk lit up in front of you and that's your life path. And then you think of this thing you want to manifest, this new job, this new, house in Los Angeles, whatever the thing is. And you imagine handing it off to your spirit and asking her, place it. And if she puts it on your path, on that sidewalk, it means it's in line with what the universe wants for you and your spirit wants for you. And the universe is going to just fire hose you of support to help you get it. And if your spirit takes that ball and puts it off to the side, not on your sidewalk, it means there's something better planned for you. And she doesn't want you to waste your energy pushing towards that thing. That's when you're going to get all the hurdles and all the obstacles. She's saying, you can do it, but it's going to be the long, slow, hard way. And so when my clients hand that off to their spirit and it gets put onto the side, they go, okay, show me the thing that's on my path now. And then within 2 days, they usually get some visual or somebody says something in conversation like, oh my God, that's the thing. That's what I'm supposed to manifest next. And they get it because now they're open to receiving that. But just having your spirit's input on why does this seem hard or what is the thing that's going to flow to me most easily because it's in alignment with where I am right now, that's a game changer.
Mm. Well, all of this is a game changer. I thank you for sharing that second process with us. I mean,
You're
I can't,
welcome.
and I think that for all of us, it's as we said in the beginning, it's listening to spirit, but also learning to trust it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that that's you do all of that
Well,
in
and
the Ask Your
trusting
Spirit.
any new relationship takes time. If you just met
Yes.
somebody and as a friend tomorrow, it's going to take time. And so part of the steps in that book are teaching you what your spirit's priorities are versus what your priorities are. So like we care about ending discomfort, emotional and physical immediately, and your spirit cares more about growth. So you're going to meet somewhere in the middle. So once you start understanding your spirit's priorities versus yours, you won't get mad that she's not listening or doesn't care or thwarting you. You're like, okay, what's the middle ground? How can we do both? Right. And that's something that's a big perspective changer as well.
Mm. Well, I want to say thank you for writing this book. Thank you
Well,
for writing Ask Your Spirit because it's really, I think, what will really help each of us move forward in our lives. So, I know that you can get the book everywhere. You can, I invite people to go to christinelang.org. We'll put that in the show notes as well because I know on there you have all information about the book, and you also have some gifts and some other
yeah.
things there that are really great goodies. So, are there any last minute words that you want to share, Christine?
I think just that your spirit is so excited to have that conversation with you. When I've taught classes and teaching people to do this, their spirits literally show up an hour before they do. I start getting really warm, my office gets really crowded, and I'm like, "Okay, everybody just back up a step. Just wait. They're gonna be here in a minute," right? So, that excitement is so contagious, and people tell me they feel it. Sometimes the first time they connect to their spirit, they're like, "Ooh, I got, like, body chills," or the hair on my arm stood up, or I could really feel this surge of emotion in my chest because your spirit is so excited that this is part of who you came here to be is expand and ascend as much as possible. And adding your spirit into the mix is, jet fuel to make that
Mhm.
go.
Mm. Great, great, Christine. Well, I know I am feeling very inspired and I want to go have these conversations with my spirit right away. So I'm digging right in and I really encourage everybody to get Ask Your Spirit and to be able to do this for ourselves. Christine, you are always just a joy to be with. I find you so clear and wise and loving and I really appreciate your guidance to me over the years and your friendship. And I'm jumping up and down in celebration of you. So thank you. And
You.
yeah.
I'm so grateful for your friendship. I'm very, very humbled and honored that the universe decided our paths should cross in this lifetime.
Mm,
It's been such a
mm.
blessing.
You do good for the world, for each of us. And
Good
I
people.
want to end with a quote, and this quote is by you, Christine.
Oh,
Let me pull this up so I can read this here. It says, "Your spirit's goal is to give you clarity into any areas of your life that feel painful or stuck. With those insights, you can reclaim your true power and live as the most vibrant, authentic version of you." And I think anybody who's tuning in today, it's because you want to live as the most vibrant and authentic version of yourself. And so I want to thank you for joining us today and
You know,
joining you into this conversation, because I know if you're drawn to this conversation, it wasn't by accident. It's something in you is just ready to live more fully in the miracle zone. And I hope that you are also feeling uplifted and inspired and more aligned with that energy of the miraculous. So
no,
if this conversation touched your heart, please share it with the people you love. And also you can remember you can download your free gift of our ebook, which is called Manifest a Life of Miracles: 4 Steps to Living in the Miracle Zone. And you can get that at themiraclezonebook.com. And just remember that miracles are not reserved for the lucky few. They are meant for you. So I'm sending you so much love. Until next
oh,
time.
thank you. Bye bye.